Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I want to do is I want to talk about the Knicks film and show you that that people's finding in the frames of the Knicks film from a 12th grade copy of the film is actually not seen in a first-hand copy of the film or even on original film. Now, I just made a video before I made this one here, which I'm going to put, in the description down below as well, where you can view this video. Okay, so you can go to that one first before you even want to watch this one here, so you can understand what I'm talking about when I point out some certain facts that's in the Knicks film. Now, what people don't understand is actually a Knicks film is just as important as a Zapruder film. Okay, because the Zapruder film, yeah, we can see more shots in it and everything else, and it's a longer film. But see, people don't understand the evidence that's actually holding inside the Orville Knicks film. The Knicks film, to me, is worth a lot because there's a lot of information in there. Because in the Knicks film, we can see the gunmen taking their shots inside the shelter, and we can also see bullets hitting. We can see actually pieces of concrete flying off the manhole cover, concrete of the manhole cover. We can see, concrete flying off of that, where two strikes of bullets hitting that. So they're lining up with the Zapruder film. Zapruder film shows us from this angle on one side of the street, and the Knicks film shows us this angle from the other side of the street. Okay, so actually the Knicks film is just much as important as the Zapruder film. So a lot of people says, oh no, it's not, but it is. Knicks film is very, very important. Now, I was, like I said in my other video, someone's making comments and trying to point about this person found this and this person found that, and Orville Knicks film and stuff like that. Well, actually, what they're pointing out is stuff and objects or things that's been added into the film from a 12th grade, 12th generation copy of the Knicks film, because that's what we have to look at when we're a researcher. We have to look at, when we're looking at these frames, this is the 12th generation copy. It's not the first-hand copy. It's not the original. It's not a third-hand copy. It's a fourth-hand copy or whatever and so on. We're looking at a 12th grade copy of the film. Now, what I want to do is, someone's, like I said in my other video, and I'm going to say it in this video here, please don't post somebody else's site. Any comments below you want to talk about them, that's fine. Talk about them. Let them look up that person or whatever. But don't post their sites or anything in the comments down below, because I don't want no conflict between me and them other researchers and everything else, because they're going to say, how did this person know about my site, blah, 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 and all this. I don't want to get into that controversy. So if anybody's going to post something, I will let you know. If anybody's going to post something with somebody else's site in there, they will not be viewed on the video, because I don't want no conflict from other researchers. But if you want to talk about that researcher and that person wants to look them up, that's fine and dandy. Go ahead and put it in the comment below. I don't care. But, I have people, like I said, while they're talking about flash that's in this in the Knicks film, that there was a gunshot being fired and everything else. It's actually marks from other copies of the film being made. Now, first, let me point this up. These are images that my friend posted, Guy Cooper, he also does a great job too as well. He posted some images of behind the Pelagora there, where people's claim that they found a shot of a gunman taking a shot behind Pelagora. Okay, well actually there's no shots being fired. If you look here, it's from the ground up. From the ground up, he would have to take a shot out this window here, which they're pointing at, this window here, where a shot was fired. Okay, they would actually have to stand on a step ladder or a higher ladder just to be able to take a shot out of here. Now they couldn't stand on no man's back and stuff like there was in shelter number 3, because the ground level at this point is like right around in this area right here where my cursor is. That's where the ground level is on the other side. The ground level here is down below. So they have a long stretch right here. Even if you pull a car up to here, you still couldn't be able to take a shot out of there. So I was going to point this out because a lot of people says, they left a comment, so well, this guy here found a shot being fired from in the Knicks film. Okay, he found a shot being fired from this location, but I'm going to show you it was no shot. Now first, let me point this out here. Okay, this is one of the frames that someone pointed out. So what you can see over here where you watch my cursor is you see these 3 lines here. They said that's a flash of gunfire. Okay, so this proves that JFK was shot from the front. However, these are not gun flashes. These are marks that's in the film from another film. Okay, like I said, this is a 12th generation copy of the film. So these marks was added in between the copies of the copies of copies of films they made. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this. Okay, and I'm going to pull up a frame from the first-hand copy. Not the original copy, the first-hand copy. I'll pull this up right here. Now, these are the same frames right here. These are the same frames right here. As you see, there's 3 marks in here. Okay, there's 3 marks here, which I'm going to pull up to here. Okay. I'm only going to show you the side frames. I can't show you the original frames because I don't want to get no battle or anything else like that for me showing. Even though it's a first-hand copy, I still just showing parts of it. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to blow this up here. I'm going to blow this up right here. This is that frame. These are the same frames. Now, you see any marks on here like there is here? No, you don't. That's like marks down here, which I think I'm already over here. So let me pull this over just a little bit more this way so you can actually see. Okay, see how there's markings right here on the frame where my cursor is, and there's none right here? And you see markings right here on the frame, which there is none here. This is from the first hand copy. This frame, this is the same frame as this frame here. However, this is from the first hand copy of the film. This is from the 12th grade, 12th generation copy of the film. So when we're looking at this, these marks was added on from copy after copy after copy from different films when they copied this one film. So this was added to the next film now. Now in the next film, when they look at this, they're going to say, oh, well, there's gunshots. No, it wasn't. So now they're giving out false information because it's not seen on the next film or the first-hand copy of the film. It's not even seen on a second-hand copy of the film, a third-hand copy of the film. This was added in from the 4th generation copy. Okay, that's when this was added into it. So when they more copies they make, there's crinkles in the film that is going to look like marks like this, and eventually it's going to look like shots being fired, but it's not. Now, we're going to pull up another one. Okay, this is one frame. Okay, that I think, hold on, make sure this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, this one here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow it up right to here, this section right here. Now, someone in one frame, it shows a spot here. This is where they claim that shot was fired from, that we see in this in the Nix film. They said there was a shot fired right here in this location here, and then that's the fatal headshot to JFK, which he was shot basically more or less from the back. Okay, not from the front, but from the back. But as I point out in my other videos, that fatal headshot came from the shelter up here. But anyway, we're gonna look at it this way. They're gonna say this is the shot being fired there, but it's not seen in the first original copy. It's not seen in the first-hand generation copy. It's not seen in the third-hand generation copy. It's been added into around the 7th or 8th hand copy of this film. That's when this flash was added into it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up this. Pull up this one here. Let's pull up this one here. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to zoom in some more here. Okay. Now again, like I said, this is the first-hand copy of the film, of the Nix film. As you see here, this is that window that they claim that shot was fired right here. As you see in the first-hand copy, even on original copy, it's not even seen there. There is no flash here. There's none whatsoever. But when someone points it out in this copy, which is a 12th generation copy, they're going to say there's a shot fired. What they're doing is handing out more false information because there is none. If you look at the original film, or which you'll probably never be able to view the original film because you got to go to the owners to view that one. but you know, you can get a second-hand generation copy from the government. You have to order it and you have to pay for it and everything else. But anyway, as you see right here, where my cursor is, there is no glowing there or anything else. But there's glowing in this frame here because that's a 12th generation copy. First-hand generation copy does not show a fire shot being fired there. But when a 12th grade generation copy comes out and people are viewing this and their researchers are viewing it, they're going to say, oh, there's a shot being fired when there is none. Okay, so that's why I keep on trying to point out to people. Now we're going to point out another frame, which is right here. As you see at the bottom of this frame here, we see marks. See this mark right here where my cursor is, and this mark right here where my cursor is? Okay, now we're going to show the same frame. Well, not the whole frame, but that location. We're going to show that location. How's that? As you see here, okay, which I'm going to shrink this just a little more. Move this up here. These marks are not in the first-hand copy. These was added in from the third generation copy, because from that film, that's how these black marks got on there. And then when they made a copy, a fourth grade copy of the film, fourth generation copy of the film, the marks look like it's part of the film, and then so on and so on and so on. Just like you see these marks right here, you see these lines coming down right here. My cursor has got a line coming down this way, got a line coming down this way. They're not even seen in that film, in this first-hand copy of the film. So see, what I'm saying is this, just like if we look at this 12th generation copy, excuse me, I'm sorry to keep on saying grade, 12th generation copy, even when we look at the gunman that I found on the side of the shelter, okay, you can't hardly make no details out of them and stuff because this is a 12th generation. We can see the rifle being fired, yes we can, but we cannot see no details of this gunman. But when we look at the first-hand copy of the film, okay, first generation copy of the film, that's how we can see more details of this gunman right now, because of, now we're looking at the first generation copy of the film, not third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, or even this 12th generation copy. We're looking at the first-hand generation copy. And we can actually see the gunman's head, his hairline, his hair. We can see the rifle fire and the smoke trail. Okay, but you could see this in this frame here. You can see the shot being fired, but you can't see no details of the gunman or anything else, because it was a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, like I pointed out right here from my other video. It's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. If you watch my other video, which is like it says in the description down below of this video, which I go more details on why we see these certain marks on these frames and everything else. But anyway, like I said, we're going back to this one here. This is the reason why we can see the gunman in more detail, okay? Because we're looking at a first-hand generation copy. But when we're going to go to a 12th grade, or 12th generation copy of it, we're not going to see hardly no details. We'll see the line of smoke from the rifle being there, but we're not going to see no details of that gunman. Just like if you watch Mr. Zapruder. Okay, now we're going to point this up here. We can see in colorize, okay, you can see Mrs. Setzman right here, Mr. Zapruder standing right here, Mr. Zapruder's legs, Mrs. Setzman standing right behind him, he's filming and everything else. You see how we can see the skin tones and everything else like that? Well, we can't see that in this film here, the 12th generation copy, because we'll look at it this way. Okay, we look at it this way. Okay, as you see here, right up here, it's more blurry. You couldn't tell the difference between what person and another person. Like, you know, this person and this person. You know, you can't tell the difference between them. But when we look at the first-hand generation copy, we can see Mr. Zapruder's legs here, with Mrs. Setzman's legs right behind, between his legs, like. I'll be in this location here, which you can't even see her leg in the 12th generation copy. You can't even see her leg. You don't know where her head is, but her head is actually close, very close to the side of Mr. Zapruder, and we can see the camera up to his face and stuff as we see in the next film. But in 12th generation copy, we can't. Now, as you notice, even the colors are different. There's more green to it than there is from there. That's what I'm talking about. They add this stuff into it. So anything that we're going to pull from the Orville Nix film and this generation copy here, 12th generation copy, we can't use it as facts until we can see the original one or the first-hand copy. That's why when I found the two gunmen in shelter number 3, I went back and had to get a first-hand generation copy of the film, which I do have it, but I don't, I don't show it. But I do have it in my files. But I show a lot of frames from this part here because it's a 12th generation copy, but it's in the same location. Both gunmen can be seen in the original Orville Nix film. That's why I said this film is so important. And, I put it up at the same level as Mr. Zapruder's film. Even though Mr. Zapruder's film is a little bit longer and have more shots, you can make more details out of there. But the Orville Nix film is just much as important as the Zapruder film, because not only the Orville Nix film shows us the fatal headshot to JFK coming from the shelter, and the shot to Governor Connally as he's turned to his left coming from the side of the shelter, but we can see 2 strikes in concrete flying up from the manhole cover, which also backs what we see in the Zapruder film. But now we can ID these gunmen because now we know their location from the Orville Nix film. We know their true location of where they was located at because we can see this in there. Just like the Bronson film. The Bronson film, we can see 2 shots from the shelter, okay, which is just as important because it backs up the Bronson film, backs up the Nix film backs up the Zapruder film. So see, all these films are just much as important as just one film. They're all of it. But there's more people, there's more higher grade, I would say. We put the Zapruder film up here, but right beside it, just a little bit below it, I'll put the Orville Nix film. Okay, that's how important it is. Now the other ones, like Mormon photo, I'll put up there with the Zapruder film and the Nix film, the Mormon photo and stuff like that. But the other films, I put them down just a couple notches down below them, as is important. But when it comes to the 2 main films and the JFK assassination, is the Zapruder film and Orville Nix film, okay, because it holds a lot of information in there. But when you're looking at a 12th generation copy of the film, okay, they're going to pull out a lot of stuff out of this 12th generation copy that's not seen on the original film, that's not seen in the first-hand copy of the film, because it's printed on a different type of film, and they added more light to it. They changed the colors a little bit to make this brighter, that brighter, trying to lighten up certain areas and everything else. And all they're doing is adding more to the film, which is not even there. So when people says this, like I said, when they point out a shot being fired from over here, there's no way a shot can be fired from over here. They claim that's a shot being fired, but again, they're pointing out a 12th grade generation copy. But you're seeing it here firsthand that there is no shot being fired from that location. As you watch my cursor, there's no shots being fired from that location, because you can see, you can't even see lighted marks behind there. The lighted marks came in from them making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, as you see here. Remember, the Orville Nix film is an indoor film, not an outdoor film or any other type of films that they copied it to. Okay, now the first-hand generation copy is also made from an indoor film because they had to make it to what same type of film it is and everything else. So I just want to go into more details because I got people making comments, point out this researcher's research or this person's research, and say, hey, look what they found in this film and that film, but you have to look at the facts when you're analyzing films or when you're pointing out details, or if you're going to point it out as evidence, you better make sure the evidence is there, because what people have been pointing out for a long time now, the certain evidence that they're pointing out is really not there. They're not seen in original films or the first-hand copies, and actually in the second-hand copies of films or images. They're seen in the images and films of 3rd generation, 4th generation, 5th generation, 6th generation, and so on and so on. That was added into the film as they was making copies of copies. Just like I said in my other film, in my other video, as I point out, that what people don't know, and I'll point this out again in this video here, okay, you have your original copy, and the first-hand copy is made from the original, same type of film and all. Then when they make a second copy, they don't make it from the original, they make it from the first-hand copy. And then when they go to the second-hand copy and they want to make a third-hand copy of the film, they take it of the second-hand copy of the film. So when they're going to add, what they're doing is, say if the original film is okay, first-hand copy is identical to the original film, but there was a hole in the second copy of the film, it's end up going to show in a third copy of the film, the fourth copy of the film, and so on and so on. And then when there's a mark being made into the third copy of the film, okay, and when they make the fourth-hand copy of the film, they're going to make it from the third-hand copy. Them marks are going to be seen in that film as well, and then you get another mark on the fourth-hand copy, it's going to be seen in the fifth-hand copy. So when people's looking at the Orville Nix film today, even when you look at the net or pull the frames from the net and stuff like that, you have to keep in mind that you're using a 12th generation copy of the Nix film. When you go with the first view of the film, okay, when you go with the first view of the film, oh, I shouldn't have done that. The point this one up and this one up. When we're looking at this, we have to look at it this way. Okay, we're going to pull this up right here. I'm going to pull this up right here. These are the same frames. And as I'm pointing out here, and this is what we call evidence as well, you can see the 3 flash marks right here. That's in this one frame. Well, when you look at the first-hand copy of this film, them 3 lines right here, or these 3 flashes, are not even seen in that film. So if they're not seen in the first-hand copy of the film, they're not seen on the original copy of the film. Then was added on from a copy after copy after copy. That's how that was added into it. So when people's looking at this 12th generation copy of the film, someone's going to look at that and say, oh, well, there's a shot being fired from the picket fence area. It's not. So see, now with them looking at this and not pointing out these facts and not telling the people that they're looking at a 12th generation copy of the film, and is a copy, or even go into details explaining, well, it's a copy of a copy of a copy, and not going into details like that, when they show these videos, and when they point out their facts, or when they point out their evidence, all they're doing is adding more false information out there. Okay, that's all they're doing is adding more false information out there. So now the truth is going to be more covered up because people's going to be looking over in this location when there was nothing to look in that location to begin with, because it's over here. So that's what I said. When people want to sit there and, you know, make comments stuff, I can understand you make your comments and everything else and everything, but when you point out somebody else's research and stuff like that, you better look at the facts first and show, and, you know, look at them, okay? And think to yourself before you start making comments. Say, well, is this original film they're viewing, or is it a first-hand copy of the film they're viewing, or is it a third generation copy, or fourth generation copy, fifth generation copy, sixth? Okay, researchers not going to point that out. They're going to look at a film and they're going to see this flash right here. They're not going to even bother looking if it's a 12th generation copy or a 4th generation copy. They're not going to look at that. They're going to look at this film. They're going to see them flashes right there, as you see here where I put my cursor up. They're going to see these flashes right here, and they're going to say, oh, here's where the shots were fired at. So now they're pulling it from a 12th generation copy of the film with these marks on it, which was not on the original or in the first-hand copy. They're not there. Now they're putting out false information. Or even if it's shot coming from over here. Okay, as you see in this frame here, there's nothing there, but when they start viewing it, and they start pointing this out, that's when they said, oh, well, there's a shot being fired there, because they're looking at this one and this one here. Okay, one frame right here is dark, but then the next frame over here, oh, there's a bright mark, and then the next frame after that, it's dark again. There's a shot being fired. But when you view the original frames, just like this frame here, as I pointed out, when you view it, there is no marks there. There's no shots being fired there. There's nobody could be seen there or anything else in the first-hand copy. So whatever you see in the first-hand copy of the film, you're going to see in the original film. This was added into the film. That flash mark was added into the film as they made copies after copies after copies. I explained a little bit in this film, in this video here, and the video before. So I hope this actually clears up a lot of stuff so people can understand that when I analyze a film, I have to get first-hand copies. Okay, I can't work. If I get frames like this, I'll have them, but I can't use it as evidence or anything like that until I see what's actually as close to the original film there is, just to make sure that's there. Now, the 2 shots from the shelter are in the first-hand copy of the film. So if they're in the first-hand copy of the film, they're actually an original copy of the film. But as you produce more and more copies of them, more and more copies, which are not taken from the first copy, they're taken from a second-hand copy. And then when they make a third-hand copy, they're taken from the second-hand copy, they're not taken from the first-hand copy, and then so on and so on and so on. So every time there's a mark being placed on these frames or in these frames as we're taking them copies of them images or them frames, more stuff will be added to it. So anybody that's going to be out there and they're going to pull out information like this, like them flash marks, which I showed you, they're not in the first-hand copy of the film whatsoever. And that means they're not on the original film. These other marks I pointed out are seen in the film today, but it's a 12th generation copy. Yeah, they're seen there today, but they're not on the original or the first-hand generation copy. So see, we can't use none of that information when we're looking at that. That's why I never base my research on what. That's why when I get the frames, I say, well, what kind of frame? What, whose hands he's been into? What generation copy is this? Is this 3rd generation, 4th generation, 5th generation, 6th generation? I have to know this information, because if I find something in that film, I can't use it if it's just a mark in a film. But if I look at the original films, or even a second-hand generation copy of the film, the first-hand generation copy of the film, because they're always the same, then we can use that as evidence because we're looking at closely the original. But when we're looking at copies, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th copies of the film, there's a lot been added to that between them time frames, okay, and by the types of the film they use and everything else. So we have to look at this. So when people's going to make comments, below about, well, look at this, what this person will find, I know and I've seen firsthand of what all these other researchers done or what they found in these films, okay, and they're not seen. They're not seen in none of the originals or even in first-hand copies of the film stuff. They're not there. They're pointing out stuff that's in copies of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a film or image. Okay, they're not there. Just like when I showed the Dillard image. When you look at a copy of a copy of a copy of the Dillard image, you can see an outline of a person there, but you don't know who that is. But when you go to the first generation copy of that image, you can see it's actually Oswald, which I show that in one of my videos. Okay, so see, I just want to make this video here, and hopefully this turns out good, because I had to work this whole weekend trying to get all this stuff set back up and trying to get everything working right. But I made a video which I like people to look at that one first before I actually view this video here, because that way they can understand that when I point these facts out, they would understand more of why I point these out. Okay, they could understand, instead of keep on posting comments down below of go check out this person's research or go check out that person's research, okay, because they seen a shot coming from here, a shot coming from there. They are not working with first-hand copies. They're working with 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th generation copies. Their films they're working on, the images they're working on, and everything else is not first-hand copies. They're working on 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th generation copies, or so on and so on. Okay, I work with, if I have a 4th generation copy or 5th generation copy of a film or something, I look for that first-hand copy. And then when I find that first-hand copy of the film, or even the original film, I'll look at between both frames, and if I see this one doesn't have this mark over here, I'll throw that away because that's been added to the film as they was making their copies. So this is what a lot of researchers don't do. That's why it took me so long to piece all this together, why it took me so long to do this investigation into JFK assassination, or even the Patterson film or any other film. I worked on research, is because other people will find something, they want to push it out there, there it is. Okay, I found this coming right here, there you go. It's not there. Okay, you have to do research. You have to make sure that the location you got, not only you got one frame showing a shot being fired there, But look for if they could capture, if one person captured a gunman in one certain location, then another person has as well. That's how you could tell if someone was at in. That's why when I point out the gunman inside of shelter number 3, I had the Nix film, Bronson film, Darnell film, Mormon photo, Zapruder film, the way he was filming. We have the reactions from, and we have eyewitness accounts. We have all this evidence compelled before I even bring out the location of them 2 gunmen, because I wanted to make sure I even ID the gunmen. Okay, so you have to look at all, you have to do all this before you can even make a claim. But a lot of these people, they'll find one thing in the film, there it is. Okay, there it is. Or they'll come up with something like, well, it was altered, which is quicker and easy way for them, because when someone says, well, hey, why ain't it showing now? If you go ask one of these researchers, you said it was a shot fired from here, but when you look at the first generation copy, or you know, and stuff like that, why ain't it there in that copy? Why is it in this 12th generation copy? Okay, they're going to say, oh, well, the film was altered. Okay, they're going to put up the altered card all the time, but it was never altered in any way. So that's why I said I work with first-hand copies of films or images, while other researchers work with copies after copies after copies. That's why I had other researchers, when they contacted me, they said, hey, Mr. Blevins, can I use your colorized images in my book? Or can I use some of your images? You know, because you have good images. You have best images that I've ever seen. And these are researchers been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. And the JFK assassination, they said my images are a lot better, and you can actually see more details and stuff in the images that I have, the copies I have, than they have. But I'll go for, like I said, when I do my research, I go for first-hand copies of images or films. So don't forget to tell your friends about us. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hopefully this turns out pretty good, where, you know, until I get enough money to saved up to where I can go ahead and buy a new computer where I can get everything set up and do a lot more editing and everything else. You know, but like I said, don't forget to tell your friends about us. Don't forget to hit the like button. You know, like I said, there's a lot of things out there, so we're trying to get everything done. So thank you, and you have a nice day.